My name's Michael Malloy. I'm a retired lawyer, formerly in practice in Auckland. So I'm fundamentally a Queen Street farmer. I bought the main blocks of this farm at Woodcots near Warkworth. It's 11 kilometres west of Warkworth, and therefore about midway between Warkworth and the Kaipara Harbour. I bought it in 73 and started planting in 74. Now the particular plantation that you see here is blackwoods, and they went in 77 originally. They've been in a comparatively sheltered environment, and this is perhaps the reason why they've done fairly well. I have thinned them and pruned them as I went along, and the results you can now see for yourselves. So I used a nurse crop originally and cut them out when it seemed clear that the blackwoods would do well with vertical growth on their own, and it worked okay. I would expect that the blackwoods here and elsewhere on the farm would be slowly extracted and milled in the fairly near future, but I'd expect the work to be done by my son, who has an adjoining farm and who will probably be making moves to take over this property in the fairly near future. Now we have already logged several hectares on the western block, but they were all pines. The hardwoods have not yet been touched. When I started planting on this farm, I just followed the conventional plan of putting in Pinus radiata. But that's a softwood. It's fine for things like paper, pulp and so on. And at a pinch, it can be used for housing, but it's got certain weaknesses. And the obvious problem that has cropped up with leaky homes in New Zealand is the problem of its being susceptible to rot if the buildings happen to leak. Now, that can be overcome by treatment, but treatment is an extra and it's an expensive one. It involves the immersion of the wood in a tank of liquid and then the forcing in of the salts. So that involves quite a bit of energy, and as energy gets more expensive in the future, this is simply inefficient. Now the efficient use of land is to grow trees that have innately the characteristics that we want in the end product. Now with eucalypts as an example, you get both strong and durable timber. With blackwoods, you get beautiful timber. It's strong, it's not durable, but provided you use them for the purpose for which they are ideally suited, namely furniture, that is irrelevant. So in terms of growing for your end product and efficient usage in a world that's increasingly going to rely on expensive energy, the thing to do is to grow species like blackwoods and eucalypts for their respective end properties. One of the problems of forestry in the future is that the amount of timber that you get out of a tree is only a fraction of the material that's in the tree. You've got your offcuts, your bark, and small branches and leaves. Now, recent studies in the United States have shown that the leaves are important because they contain a lot of methane. But the point about this is that if you're going to grow trees, you want to be able to make 100% use of those trees. Now, growing trees for quality uses is one thing. Being able to use all the rest of the wood and other parts of the tree for energy purposes is also important. And the answer to that is for New Zealand to go its own way and to use trees as a source of raw material for energy. In that way, we get a highly economic and profitable use of our land and our trees, because every bit will then be useful and profitable. I think that one of the most important things about trees is the simple point that they take a long time to get to anything like maturity, which means that if you plant trees when you're comparatively young, then when you're comparatively old, you're able to harvest them and you're able to obtain a substantial benefit from the use of the trees in your old age. So they, in that way, they fit very well into the life patterns of human beings. And also, there is a very important point that's emerged from the study by Scion of erosion-prone land, and that is that comparatively low-quality land can be extremely valuable for high-quality, big-volume trees. The successes and failures of individual woodlots in New Zealand are best used as a guide to what to do and what not to do. And in that way, the Farm Forestry Association will obviously play an important role in helping people to avoid the worst mistakes, but also to take advantage of the successes. Here we've got one of the developmental things that I did as the pines were logged and produced a bit of money for a change. This is purely an air drying unit, and it contains a lot of locally grown sawn wood. This is macrocarpa. This is intended as a house lot. It's been cut for just a few years now, and it ought to be used very soon. But the real value, I think, is that it works well, and it can be used, although it shouldn't be used, as a storage area. The idea of doing the basic processing on site has mostly to do with the point that timber always needs to be dried, and the sooner you can get it milled and then dried, the better off we are, because the less movements are required for timber, the lower weight you've got on the roads and bridges, and the more efficient your transport system can be. All right. From the point of view of young people thinking about the development of a plantation, I think that one of the issues confronting them is the cost of the land. And from that point of view, the really important lesson that I think needs to get across to the potential Queen Street investor is simply that the steep land, but land that can take trees, is valuable. That's where the Queen Street investor can make a major step towards improving the national economy.